73 bats living in a shed in her backyard, and she cares for them so much that she's become a creature of the night.
I will stay up all night, and in fact I usually end up going to bed just as the sun starts coming up in the morning.
Dr. French started caring for injured bats in 1991, and today goes through 80,000 mealworms a month with her mealworm smoothies.
And it actually looks pretty good.
But after 14 years and over 4 million mealworms, she's unlocked a secret.
They make a lot of little sounds like beeps and chirps and buzzes and trills. They seem to take all of these little sounds and put them together in different ways to convey different meanings. Somebody's telling me to come feed him. A couple little sort of escape cries. Some of them are running off on us.
She's the first person in the world to understand bat talk.
We think about them as using their highly sophisticated sonar, but not about these social communication calls. And I think that that can potentially provide new insights about language and the use of language, the development of language.
And just like humans, most bats talk about one thing.
I would be saying, come on over to my house. If the girl is interested, she makes a quiet little response like, but if she isn't, she makes this loud, a very annoying sound, this sort of, this very protesty squeal.
For Dr. French, listening to her bats is a full-time job, even when she's doing the washing up.
I always say, I'm not going to keep these bats forever. And people always say, oh, you'll be a 90-year-old woman and you'll still have bats in your house. And I think that there's a possibility that might be true.
One creature with an extreme method of bearing its young is the splash tetrafish, found in the Amazon River basin. These males are leaping to inspect suitable breeding sites, because the female splash tetrafish actually jumps out of the water to lay its eggs on leaf. The leaf requires the perfect belly flop, because the fish sticks to the leaf solely through surface tension. The male patrols his chosen leaf until his female mate arrives. The pair prepare for the leap under the leaf, and then perform the ultimate feat of synchronized swimming. They're so perfectly in unison that to the human eye they look like a single fish. After the female lays the eggs, the male fish takes over, because he must splash the eggs about once a minute until they hatch several days later. The splash tetra males are probably the hardest working fathers in the animal kingdom, although scientists still don't know exactly why the fish have evolved this unique breeding behaviour. Perhaps it's to avoid predators like South America's Suriname toad, which has an even more extreme form of parenting, because for the flattest toad in the world, their offspring literally get under their skin. The toad's young grow from eggs to tadpoles and pockets in the mother's skin, emerging as fully formed toads. Most other toads lay hundreds of eggs with only a few surviving, but the Suriname toad's pockets ensure that all of its young become baby toads. However, once the youngsters leave the security of the pockets, their mother leaves them, and it's every toad for themselves. In Newport Richey in Florida, USA, is 16-year-old Tiffany Yorks. She was born with a condition so extreme that there have only ever been 300 cases since the 16th century. The disorder is called sirenamelia, or mermaid syndrome.
I was born with mermaid syndrome, where you're born with your legs squeezed together from the hips all the way down to the ankles.
Tiffany is one of only 2 people with mermaid syndrome in the world to ever survive surgery.
I'm not just laying in a bed feeling sorry for myself. I'm doing everything I possibly can.
which includes a positive attitude to the mythical creatures themselves.
I love swimming. You know, I'm like the mythical mermaid. I swim anytime I get the chance. I feel like I'm just like them, except I don't have the tail.
Dr. Mutaz Habal from the Tampa Bay Craniofacial Center is the man responsible for Tiffany's amazing recovery, conducting 5 major operations to separate her legs.
It's very hard to separate. In plastic surgery, when you separate, you have to replace between the separation with skin.
They placed a little balloon in between my legs and they filled them up with saline and made it bigger until all the skin in my leg was stretched out to the max, and then they could cut open and use that skin to fold over and close.
Mermaid syndrome babies also have kidney and heart abnormalities, and Dr. Habal discovered that Tiffany's heart was only working on the left side.
Discovering the heart problem is essential because that's what made Tiffany survive.
When she was 3, Tiffany walked for the first time.
I think that was a great thing. I remember that when we saw her walk. I mean, we had the whole crew taking picture of her walking around, and that was great.
Tiffany broke a knee when she was 9 and hasn't walked since, but she's expected to be walking again soon.
My therapist said it should be by May that I'll be able to get up and walk around.
And just like any teenager, she's optimistic about the future.
I'm going to marry Ben and be Charlie. Damn, he needs to call me.
In the Midwest American city of Whitehall in Wisconsin is a man with an extreme inner ear problem, forcing him to live in a world where everything is out of balance.
Welcome to my world. Everything rocks and rolls and shakes.
Don Johnson is what's known as a wobbler. While 90 million Americans will suffer dizziness at least once in their lifetime, Don faces a daily battle with gravity.
It's like the floor is shaking when you're walking. All your images are like an image and a half. There's an image around the outside of another image.
Don has vestibular dysfunction, a debilitating balance disorder of the inner ear.
You're in charge around the house. It seems like you're always dragging your feet or stumbling over things. Your feet are not where you think they are.
In 1989, Don took a strong antibiotic only used in extreme cases for a post-operative lung infection. He had an adverse reaction which destroyed his vestibular apparatus, his inner ears. Our inner ears are critical for balance, control of eye movements, muscle activity and posture.
Vacuuming is